Page 77, Soldier's Joy. We still have the capo on, at the second fret, of course. And if you were uncapoed and learned it without the capo, you would be in the key of C. When capoed, however, we are in the key of D. And there's a lot of explanation back on page 76 about the music theory behind this whole key of C versus key of D deal. But once again, we're capo 2 because most mandolin and fiddle players like Soldier's Joy in D. So, as banjoists, we must comply. So there you go. Just to give you a little idea of the format this will be played in, we are going to play the A part twice, and that's almost to the end of the second line, but you repeat back to the pickup notes, play the A part a second time, then you have a couple different pickup notes at the end of the second line going into the B part, which will be played twice. And at the end of the second B part, there's two things to watch out for there on the end of the B part. That would be measure 16. You have a marking of end, and that bird's eye, they like to call it. The official name for that is fermata, and that will be the final ending note when we come around to playing the melody again. But next to that end marking, notice it says leave out second time. You leave out the pickup notes on the second time around because you're going into a backup right from there. And the backup will be played the A part twice and the B part twice. Notice at the end of the final measure, measure 32, you have the C chord, and there's a big space there, and that's just to remind you to jump on the pickup notes back at the first letter A, and we're going to play through the whole tune again after having backed up a invisible musician. And then having played that tune the second time around, we still do the two A parts, we still do the two B parts, but we will end or stop on that 16th measure, the fifth note in, where it says end with the fermata above it. So with all that introduction and fanfare, we do have two eighth note pickup notes, so I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and hit those pickup notes into the melody. And you can prepare those in advance. You can see a diagram there showing you frets 5 for the second string 5th fret, fret number 3 for the first string 3rd fret. Have those in place before you start, but then you got to get right out of there and back to your C chord fingering for the first full measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, hope you were able to follow that all right. I think, even though it seems like a simple thing, one of the trickiest parts of this is at measure 14, the end of measure 14, there is a hammer-on, which occurs from first string open into measure 15, which is first string second fret. And it's a little tricky because you have to come from second string fifth fret just before the hammer-on. Again, I'm in measure 14. And I do hammer on my middle finger, so my C is just a two-note C chord. In this case, played with your middle finger and index finger fretting the first fret when you need it. Let me put that into context. Let me play measure 13, 14, and 15 slowly for you. Measure 13. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you really have to nail that hammer on hard. That's why I do use the middle finger. It seems like the strongest finger to really hit it. And so that completes our chapter on Capo 2 tunes.